Hello, everyone. I am Sheila, the host of EssenceinU, and today we have a fabulous guest. Her name is Katherin Elli Grace. She is a soul contract reader. Um, Miss Grace, could you please tell us about yourself? Oh, wait, no, I have her bio. I'm going to read her bio. So, Katherin Elli Grace, a retired nurse with over 40 years of experience, turned her journey through trauma, burnout, and fear into a path of profound transformation. After a spiritual awakening led her to boldly relocate from New York to Panama. Did you guys hear that? She went from New York to Panama. She discovered the power of soul contract reading, a revelation that shifted her from surviving to thriving. Now a certified soul contract reader and divine healer practitioner, she helps others break free from limiting patterns and step into their authentic power. Well, Miss Grace, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for that warm welcome. Yeah, that
Yes.
was a lot. Um, yeah, I'm
Like I
glad to
said,
be.
New York to Panama. That's like a big jump, different culture.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
sure.
Oh,
Different culture.
absolutely. Yeah.
Um, how did you adjust to that, or did you just like embrace it and just flowed to your where you already naturally, you know, felt like you belonged there?
Well, yeah. To be honest with you, I never. This was never on my radar. This move,
Mm,
this Panama was on my radar just via a magazine article.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, I in my 50s, I had what I call a dark night of the soul,
Mm-hmm.
and was kind of spiraling down. My life was kind of falling apart, and um, my metaphor for that is I was hit by the spiritual Mack truck. He not only hit me, but he backed up and ran over me, and I just lost control of the wheel, and I just realized at that point in my life that I needed to make some changes,
Mm-hmm.
and this magazine happened to be sitting on my coffee table, and I opened up this International Living magazine, and there was a Panama relocation tour, and I took it the next month, and the next year I spent um, getting ready my visa to make this move. So yeah, I left my comfort, or should I say my discomfort zone in New York. My family, my friends, sold everything and moved with 2 suitcases and a duffel bag to Panama, where that started this journey of self-discovery.
Mm-hmm.
And to answer your question about how I got to this soul contract reading,
Mm-hmm.
it was a webinar. So one day I was in Panama and I was in my apartment, and this webinar came on, and this woman started speaking to me. And it was
Wow.
like, stop playing small. It's time. You've got to stop hiding, bring out your gifts that you're here to share with everybody. People are waiting for you. And, as a nurse, it's always been about helping people. And since
Mm-hmm.
I was really little, it's been about helping people, especially people that were traumatized. I
Mm-hmm.
had, some childhood abuse and a lot of adversity growing up. So this really spoke to me. And, it was like deer in the headlights. So I had a soul contract reading after that. And that 90-minute reading just shifted my perspective. And instead of looking at my a lot of the self-pity parties that I had attended for myself,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't a victim anymore. I looked at why I went through what I went through. I had lessons that I had to learn, and these challenges were opportunities for me to to stand up for myself. Part of what I'm here for is to stand in my power and speak my truth. So a lot of these challenges, as I said, were lessons um, that I needed to learn and opportunities to overcome this karma.
I gotcha. I gotcha. So, with that being said, when did you start your spiritual journey?
I want to say I started my spiritual journey back in my 30s.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I, I visited, my friend said, "Oh, let's go to this psychic, Loretta. She's a psychic. She's a local psychic." And I was skeptical, but I went.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like I became this metaphysical sponge. I just absorbed everything Loretta said to me. I made friends with Loretta. She was writing a book. I went back, and it just started to open me up. I was not religious. I wasn't brought up with any of this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, so that was my first foray into spirituality. And then
Mm-hmm.
because I had such adversity and I had, the abuse in childhood, I thought there was something wrong with me and that I was, you know, damaged and broken. And so then I spent about the next 30 years as a spiritual seeker, seeking healers and energy modalities and holistic alternative ways to fix myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like I found temporary band-aids, but nothing really stuck
Mm-hmm.
until I came to Panama and, had this experience with the soul contract reading.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's really made a difference in my life, and I want to help others make a difference in theirs. So that's where I'm at this point.
So, I want to ask you, at this point in your life, what is the best thing that you feel about your life right now?
I feel like I'm on an upward trajectory instead of
Mm-hmm.
being stuck in the darkness, and I'm living my life. I call it the spiritual way of life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and and I'm finding that I used to feel like I was so alone, and I had nobody to help me. Nobody had my back, and it was just a horrible way to go through life. There was something
Mm-hmm.
wrong with me. It wasn't lovable. I just wanted to get to the end. I had a lot of suicidal thoughts, and never acted on them, but it was just I wanted to be done with this life. It was hard. I just didn't
Mm-hmm.
want to live like that. There wasn't a lot of joy in my life. And now I'm finding, since this reading, actually, I've done some divine healing work, some energy healing modality. I'm nearing 70 this year. This is going to
Ooh.
be my seventh decade now. And I retired at 62. I thought, that's it, going to go and, sit on the beach and, enjoy my life. And it turned out, now I've started a business. So, it's been
Mm-hmm.
a few years now starting a business. That's been a real eye opener. Tech and I have this love-hate relationship. So to try
Tell me
and,
about it.
right? Uh, and we've had our own share today,
Yes, we
trying to
did.
get this going. Um, yeah, so between trying to do the tech stuff and then the business stuff, I'm not savvy about that. I just want to, do my readings and help people. This other
Mm-hmm.
stuff is like, but to answer your question, this has been an exciting part of my life. And I really feel, and I always have since I was young, that I am here to help people. And now to know how I can help people and to take my own story. I never thought I accomplished much. I never thought, I was courageous. And, people will say to me, even people that have moved here, other, people that have left their lives in the States or wherever, they'll say, "Oh my gosh, you came by yourself. Oh my gosh, you didn't know anybody. Oh my gosh, you don't speak the
Yeah.
language."
Yeah.
And I really never looked at it like that. Again, I've got the head down and I'm just trying to get through to that end finish line. So, um, so yeah, to step back and to look at my life totally differently, to be able to know that I am here to help people and this is how it's going to be. And I went through all of the adversity, all the abuse, so that I could relate to people, so that I would bring people into, into my life, attract them to my business and to my story. And I've always wanted to be an inspiration, encourager, and support for other women, especially. Um,
Well, I
and
believe
so,
you are.
yeah,
I totally
thank
believe
you.
you are, because that did take courage, guts, and that just shows that that you could do anything that you want to do.
Absolutely.
Even moving to another country, not speaking the language, and you're thriving, and you've been there for quite some time now.
7 years.
See,
Yeah. And I'm not
and
under the
haven't looked
bridge.
back. Yep,
I
and you
have
haven't looked
not.
back.
I have not.
You don't
And
regret it at all.
what I want to say, if there's somebody out there that's really going through a tough time right now, I used to say, alone, scared, and in despair. I just felt those so deeply. Um, I do want people to know that there is there is a reason for what you're going through, and your soul. When I found, what my soul wrote for me, my creation story, what I'm supposed to be living and doing, that just it's like I said, it's like turning the lights on, and you live your life from a different perspective. And all those questions, that I asked, why did this happen to me? What
Mm-hmm.
is wrong with me? Who am I really, and what am I here to do? All those
Mm-hmm.
questions got answered with this reading.
Mm-hmm.
And it it's something that I have incorporated into my life, because I have done some readings and people, they get the information and that's great. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at doing some different programs now, because I want to help with the integration piece.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the magic really happens. So it's great to get the information, but you've really got to go forward with it and live it. So that's what I'm doing now here.
Tell everyone what a soul contract is.
Okay, so before you were born, your soul was busy. Your soul was choosing what lessons, what experiences, and what achievements you would experience in this lifetime. And that can be your karma, can be from past lives, it can be generational. Um, this is a time of ascension right now. We're in a very unique lifetime. And so it's my understanding and my belief that we're here to clear up the karma, clear the karma that's been in our family, okay? And we're chosen. We were chosen for this. We've kind of trained for this. We've been in other lifetimes that have prepared us for this. We don't remember those things. So that's why I like the soul contract reading. It really gives clarity and direction. But we're here to clear all of that up. So, okay, I've lost my train of thought. Sheila, help me out here.
So you were saying that we were here, we trained to be here,
Yes.
that our souls trained to be here.
Yes. Okay. And so back to the soul contract, what
Mm-hmm.
it is. So your soul chose the lessons, like I'm supposed to stand in my power and speak my truth. And by
Mm-hmm.
doing that, I'm also to be a master teacher. And so by sharing my experiences with you, it's going to help you in the long run, because if you're struggling with the same thing, you're going to see that there is a way out. And it
Mm-hmm.
does. The reading is a little different than, like, it's a combination of astrology, numerology, tarot, Kabbalah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little different than like an astrology reading where, your planets are here when you're born, and okay, so that's what you deal with, and you kind of work your life around the planets. Well, the soul contract reading that I do gives you your soul's creation story. So this is what your soul intended for you to live. This is the life that they intended intended to live in this lifetime. So it really provides transformative clarity and direction. And when you start to go off your path, that's when the challenges really, you start getting the nudges from your soul. And then, then like me, I wasn't paying attention and I was just doing what I thought I needed to do. And I got run over with that spiritual map. Yeah.
So you did a soul contract reading on myself.
I did.
And you can share that. And then what she'll do is she'll go over some points and highlights and explain the chart for those of you out there. It's really interesting, I have to tell you. So
let's see if I can share. For some reason,
maybe I have to put it on. I'm going to put add to the stage. So hold on, let's see.
Okay. Oh,
there we go.
All right. All right, here we go with the tech thing. So you'll see my mouse here is going to be, it's not quite in the same spot. So yeah, this is Sheila's chart. And you'll see this is her birth name. So your soul has encoded the frequency of this chart into the sound of your birth name. And this is what will follow Sheila from birth till she leaves the planet. When you do change your name, it's just like the icing on the cake. It doesn't, the foundation of your life is right here in this chart. And as you can see, it's a Star of David, a Merkaba, and it has lots of numbers. If we go to Sheila's name, we break down each of the letters into the Hebrew alphabet, which is numbers, put it into this mathematical equation. This is the ancient method. This dates back 5,000 years and was lost over a period of time. And so it was downloaded from the soul of Moses, actually, by a gentleman named Frank Alper. He was in the Arizona Metaphysical Society. And so he's brought that to us. And it breaks down into creation codes. And these numbers here are the codes. And what I do is I read these codes. I interpret the codes. And that's what I did for Sheila. So there's two triangles here. The downward facing triangle is her physical aspect of life. So this is what you'll create, because these codes create your reality. Okay, they're based on your lessons and your experiences and achievements, and they are they follow you till you're about 35 to 42. So like around that midlife crisis point, you go from your physical aspect, which is your outer world. So that's like your childhood, growing up, it's schooling, it's your career, your family. And then you get to a point in your life where you say, there's got to be more to life. And, who am I really? And, just things aren't really adding up. So then you shift into the upper triangle, and that's the spiritual aspect of your life. Now, each of your triangles have broken down into 3 smaller triangles. So we have karma here, physical and spiritual. And again, the physical is your outer world, the spiritual is your inner world. So we have karma, then we have talents, and the talents, come on later in life. But these are what are your gifts and how you're going to help you. These talents are going to help you get through your karma. And then we have goals, physical and spiritual goals. These are what get you out of bed. They're your passion, your dreams. And then all of those 6 make up your soul destiny, which is here in the middle. And that is your life purpose. So What I usually do with a reading is I start with the physical karma and the physical aspect, and we go through that. And then we move into the spiritual karma. Now,
Okay.
Sheila is into her spiritual aspects now. But it's nice if there are people that are younger, it's nice for them to get a feel of where they're going to be going.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go back and forth between these, but for the most part, you try and work through the karma. I can tell you, if where you're at, if you've worked through that physical karma, and you're kind of cleared to go into your spiritual or not. We have the creation codes here, and it's hard to see, but there are symbols with those as well. Yeah, and Sheila happens to have, this is the abundance code, the 4. So she's got some karma she's got to work through, okay? And this is about trusting, okay? The 4s are about trusting and abundance. And it's really about sharing and duplication. And it's trusting that God will provide for you. And seeing the abundance that you have in your life now, even if that abundance, doesn't show up really externally in your bank account necessarily, right?
Yes.
So so that's what that's about. And down here to the talents. Now the talents have some karma. You have to get through some karma. But this is interesting because the 22 is movement. 20 is about movement. And Sheila likes to move. She's always on the go. And jump in here, Sheila, if you want to add anything. This is also about traveling.
I do travel a lot, yes.
Yes. And that's movement. You love new cultures and new foods and meeting new people. You want to do, you're like always wanting to learn new.
Yes.
And you can't fit everything in. You've just got so much stuff you want to do. And you want to try and do everything. And you're never going to retire, by the way. The 20s never want to retire.
I was planning on retiring at 62 like you did.
Yeah, but you're going to do something else, just like I did. And the 2 is about emotional resilience. So the karmic piece, you're building your resilience. And that's resilience to failure so that you can start a lot of things and do a lot of things. And you're not so worried about that failure piece. But you do have to worry. You have to be careful. This is about balance. You've got to really find the balance here because you can get burnout and you can get adrenal fatigue. That's in here as well. And I'm just going to say really quickly. So, we're talking about emotional resilience. This particular symbol, and I don't know how well you can see it, but it's like a spring. So I liken it to like a car shock. So, when you push down, and you go over those bumps, it goes up and down. Well, that's kind of the emotional resilience. So you're like a spring, you may have a lot of heavy stuff on top of you, but you're going to pop right back up. So that's a talent that you have so that when you run into these issues with your karma, you're actually going to be able to overcome those easier. And then we go up to the 18-9 here. And the 9 is the most powerful energy in this system. And you're able to power through. So you have the ability to achieve anything you want to do. And where these numbers are placed makes a difference as well. Okay, because obviously you've got your karma here. You're just going to have a lot of the challenges. And then you have your talent. So that's more of the, once you get through the karma, that's your reward. That's where the magic is. And then when you do it in goals, like you have real achiever goals here, both for your spiritual and your physical. So, the 18 is about choosing to follow spirit or choosing to follow ego. And so this is about making hard decisions. So you may have had some hard decisions to make. Some people for this could be, for me, for instance, I have an 18-9. I had to make a hard decision. Do I quit my job at 62 and go off on a new adventure? Or do I stay because I have my insurance and I have money? And if I go off on my own, I don't have that security. So here I had to trust, because I also had the fours, I had to trust that I was going to be taken care of. And here I am 7 years in Panama. And, I have this business going now. And so things were like, when I made that decision, things just fell into place and it was miraculous. I just can't tell you how many synchronicities and the ease that it fell into. So,
But the key to that is that you made your decision. And when you
absolutely.
made that decision and you trusted
Yes.
that it's just going to be all right and work out,
Yep.
it took off and flourished.
Yeah. And I do want to say, I have a lot of anxiety usually. And I've lived, with a lot of fear. And that's since I was a kid. My external influences kept me in fear a lot. And I can't tell you how it happened, but the minute I turned that resignation in, it was like, oh. And even when I got to Panama, I mean, it's really been such a change for me. And I take it that because I'm aligned with my soul's destiny, I am here, I am doing what I need to do. If I get stuck, if I find that there's a situation that's a challenge for me, I go back to this chart and I say, okay, what's rearing its head today? And maybe there's somebody that's kind of bullying me, they're pushing on me, right? And triggering me. And it's like, okay, what's this about? Oh, I've got to speak up. It's, like, I don't look to others to make my decisions anymore. And I look inside and I know that if I speak my truth, things will turn out in my favor, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Yeah. So then we've got the 8s up here in the spiritual goals for you. And the 8s are, it's about emotions, it's about grounding. And so you are grounding your emotions. The 8s tend to be, this is like an amoeba. Okay, so the amoebas just have that like thin membrane, and they're kind of watery. Well, the water is a representation of emotions, and you kind of can float. You're like a chameleon. You relate to everybody. Everybody loves you, and but you have to set boundaries sometimes because people will take advantage of you. You're a giver, right? And it's hard for you to receive, but you're a giver, and you want to help other people. The 8s love to fix. And sometimes we fix others before we fix ourselves. So, but in the goal position itself, you're learning to ground your talents. You're learning to ground your spirituality, that you're very clairvoyant and you have a lot of downloads. So you're learning to ground that, and then you're sharing with society. So you're connecting, and it's you're an achiever in that goal position. You just have to stay grounded, get out of your head, don't overanalyze. A lot of the 8s are always in their head. They don't want to be in their body. They don't want to feel their feelings. So yeah, that's how that goes. And then we didn't talk about your 5s over here. I love the 5s. I have 5s too. 5s are pioneers. They are courageous. They are assertive. They speak their truth. They are truth seekers and speakers. and they're like human lie detectors. So if your husband, your kids, your family, just tell them, don't even try and lie to me because I'll know it. Do you have that sense?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I used to say that to my kids, don't lie, I'll know. So the fives, what they're here, they're very airy fairy, they're very ethereal energy, and they're here to assert themselves. Okay, and this is what I was saying. You need to speak your truth. This is me. You need to speak your truth. You want to speak, and but in a past life, perhaps you have been, or even in this life, you may have gotten in trouble. Did you get in trouble from your parents if you tried to speak up for yourself or you tried to speak your truth?
No, I can't say I did.
Okay, well, that's good.
But in school, because I went to
Okay.
Catholic schools, so in schools, in my
Mhm.
school, you couldn't really speak what you really wanted to say.
Okay, there you
Yeah.
go.
Hmm.
Yes. So you're here to learn to use your voice and express. The fives are writers. Okay,
Hmm.
they're creative writers, and they can automatic write. They can do automatic writing, where they're downloading, and they're so connected, and they have higher level ideas. They know how things work, and so they're here to share that. Um,
Okay.
the 10-1. Now, the 10-1 is manifestation. The 10 is manifestation of God, and the 1 is unity, stability, and power. And together, what this means in your talents is that you're here to be of service to others. And you have the ability to bring yourself into full soul consciousness so that you are aware and you can bring those downloads because you're directly connected to source energy. And so you're getting probably a lot of downloads,
Hmm.
and you're here to share that with others and be of service. So it's you, as you serve, you will be served. So that's kind of your thing. And I'm the same way. And it's a lot of nurses and doctors. They're natural healers. The 10-1s are natural healers. They're inventors, extremely creative. So you have all that available to you with this being in your talent. They're very type A, they're perfectionists. Um, they can be self-critical and to themselves or others, but it's a real balanced masculine, feminine energy. And I will say, this can also indicate divorce, separation of the male female energies.
Hmm.
And if not in your present life, it could be in your parents' life, or grandparents.
Hmm.
And very often you'll see that in a karmic position. Um, so so that's that. And then we come into we've already talked about your eights in your spiritual goals, and then we all of these, they're kind of like a cobweb. They all interact with each other. Um, and when you come into the 11 2, the 11 is about structure and assimilation. And the 2, again, is emotional resilience, which you have that here in your talents. So you are here basically, the 11s are builders, okay?
Hmm.
And they're here to build a structure of your truth. You're here to build a structure of your truth. And what better way to do it than with a podcast? So congratulations. This and the fives want you to speak your truth, and your 11-2, you're building your own structure of knowledge, and you learn differently. Did you have maybe some difficulty learning certain ways, or have to read something 5 times or something before you got it?
I do learn differently, yes. Hmm.
Yes. Well, that's the 11-2. You're here to make mistakes and learn by trial and error and find your own way. And then you're here as a teacher to share that with others. And so here you are on your podcast doing exactly that. So I love it.
That is absolutely fabulous. And I tell you, the when when we did have the reading, I was amazed. And I played it back a couple times, to reevaluate myself and see, is that's what that means, and it was really enlightening. And I recommend people that are interested to contact you. You mind giving them your contact information and tell them where they can find you.
Sure. Well, like I said, tech is not my first love, and I'm in the process of getting a landing page and set up. But you can certainly reach me at my email address for now, Katherin, no E,
Mm-hmm.
at your sacred space, yoursacredspace.co, not .com, .co.
All
Um,
right.
yeah, and I think you have the information there too, if you maybe
Mm-hmm.
want to put
I'm
that
gonna
in the,
put it at, yep, I'm gonna
okay,
put all that in the show notes.
perfect.
Get in contact with her. She's a beautiful soul. I'm telling you, she's a beautiful soul.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
I can't, I was amazed and I'll do it again. I will do it. I will do it again. I don't know. Uh, can you do it twice or is this your only blueprint for it, for this?
This is your core, okay? This is your
Mm-hmm.
foundation. And what you can do is we can do relationship readings. So if you want to look at your family and see, you've got that pesky, sister, brother, or somebody that really nags at you a lot and triggers
Mm-hmm.
you, we can figure that out. But the other thing is, if you have a challenge that you're coming up against, what
Mm-hmm.
I'm about to offer is one-on-one. So like for a
Mm-hmm.
30-minute call, if you're stuck, if you need some clarity and direction, a lot of times I get people that have some self-doubt. They kind of know where they want to go, but they're not sure that that's the right direction. Um,
Mm-hmm.
or they're like at a crossroads and, which way do I go? So I'm glad to help with that. Or they're in the middle of a challenge. Why is this relationship going the way that
Mm-hmm.
it is? So I'm glad to do that. And sometimes it's just nice to get a fresh, let a year or so go by and then revisit this. Because what I didn't mention was that this is also an intuitive process. So
Mm-hmm.
I connect with your spirit team. I call them spirit team, your guides, your teachers, your higher self, whoever wants to come through. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm a channel for whatever information they want you to hear, what's relevant at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other piece is this is the Hebrew, it's a sacred Hebrew language. And these energies are living pretty much. They're in our DNA. Um, they're in everything. So I suggest that you listen to this. You've already listened a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you. And then over a period, like, over a 6-month period or whatever, as you're guided to, come back to it and listen to that. But in the meantime, the integration piece would be about really consciously every day looking at that chart. And I suggest that people put the chart somewhere where they're going to see it in the morning, in the bedroom, in the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
Um, some people might connect on a subconscious level with the numbers or the symbols.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so to integrate this is where the real magic happens and where you change because you're trying to raise your frequency, and as you
Mm-hmm.
raise your frequency, knowing this information, all that negative stuff falls away, okay, and new doors open, like what happened with me to
Mm-hmm.
come to Panama. I never had this in my head, but my soul knew this is what I needed.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and you're here with your podcast, so
Yeah.
you're ahead of the game.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I thank you. I thank you. Thank you so very much. And again, I will have all her information in the show notes. Please like and subscribe. Again, she's a beautiful lady. Thank you, Katherin.
Thank you so much, Sheila. It's
Have a
been a
good one.
pleasure. You too.
Yes. All right, hold on.